Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends beyond the binary, trees and multiforms, it's time for the podcaster who just sprung ahead. And by the time you hear this, you'll be well sprung, and soon, ideally, you'll be well rested. Because this is a podcaster that spirals around like a spring. A couple springs that were like knitted together, because it's time for Sleep With Me, podcast that puts you to sleep. And if I could just have your attention for a few minutes, if you're a regular Sleep With Me listener, for how we keep this show going. Also brought to you by our patrons. And I guess like I've been figuring out, you know what, I'd just like to ask you if you're listening to this and you count on Sleep With Me on a consistent basis, I'd like you to think about paying for the show. Becoming a patron is a way to pay for the podcast. And I know that's kind of paradoxical and alliterative, paying for a free podcast. You know, the purpose of Sleep With Me is to put you to sleep. But the reason I make it is because I really, truly believe you deserve a good night's sleep and everything that comes with it. Good health, the ability to live your life, to be successful at work, to be happy, to connect with your partner or your children or your friends or your family. And to not be like, not to have life be a drag. I make the podcast that's really why I make it, is for you. And the way I do that is I put a lot of work into it, and it's a lot of work to keep the show coming in a variety of consistent episodes. And if you count on the show, if you rely on the show, please consider paying for it. It's a voluntary subscription. Even if you consider supporting the show at $1 a month, is it worth that to you? Then think about it. Think about paying for a free podcast. And all you need to do is go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron, Patron. There's thank you gifts and other stuff like that. But that's really what I'm asking for. I guess why beat around the bush if I know the podcast is valuable to you. And I'd like to ask you to think about paying for it. I guess it's yeah, that's how like 90% of our funding comes from listeners just like you. So think about it. Think about paying for the podcast over at sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. You know, support it at whatever value and sacrifice you're willing, wherever that meets for you. But I'm here to put you to sleep. So think about it. And tonight's episode of Sleep With Me is also made possible by the hard worker Carl W., who edited this episode, Chris Posterson from Sounds Like an Earful Studios, who did the theme music. Jonathan Mann is on the lullabies. Kenny, Scotty, and Jennifer on our artwork. I'm at Dear Scooter on Twitter. You can listen to the show on your smart speakers, you know, with the tune-in skill, and then just say, hey, set me a sleep timer, or let it run all night, whatever works for you. Also, I thank the moderators of our listener Facebook group, Laura and Keith, Stacy and Sarah, and Julie and Jennifer. And that's it. What do you say we get on with the show? Hey, you all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep. Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe, cozy, welcoming place, or a comfortable place where you can... like I changed it and then I got mixed up. Safe place where you can set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, emoticons. Raise your hand if you've had enough with, here's a quick question. What's the difference between emoticon and emoji? Emoji. It sounds like it could be a joke in like third grade. I don't know what the punchline would be because I don't know the difference between emoticon and emoji. Maybe the emoticons are just owned by, are they like trademarked or emojis trademarked? Here's a quick question. Another one. Is there any emo emojis? I don't know if I'd like that, but, and if people say, what's that mean? I say, okay, never mind. Moving on. So this is a podcast, to create a safe, emo and emoji fans. How about a Brian Eno emoji? Eno emoji. There could be I don't know. Anyway, try to create a safe place where you can set aside whatever's keeping you awake. Whatever it is, the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky dulcet tones, pointless meanders, tangents, going off topic, whether it's right away, in the middle of the show, gradually. If I do it unexpectedly, it'll be gradually, incoherently. Like you choose the ly, and I'll be like yeah, gobbledygook. But really, why I'm here is to help you fall asleep by taking your mind off of stuff. Like I'm going to use creaky dulcet tones. I think maybe I already said that. Well, I'll tell you right up front why I'm a little bit off tonight is because it's whatever the heck the day after springing ahead, or the morning of springing ahead. It's Sunday, March, whatever. When you hear this, it'll be like ideally 4 to 6, maybe 6 weeks from now, maybe. So hopefully you'll be adjusted, or maybe by then they'll say, well, let's just get rid of that whole spring time forwarding or whatever. I'd like to be time forwarded. I'd just say, hey, tell me when everybody's used to it. Just don't tell me the time. But whatever's keeping you awake, I'm trying to help. In the structure show, if you're new, thank you for checking this podcast out, by the way. I hope it helps you fall asleep. Doesn't work for everybody, but give it a few tries. But structurally, show starts with 4 minutes or so of business. That's how we keep the podcast itself, in all the archives free. Are the regular listeners that either stop the podcast and check that stuff out, or go to sleepinwithpodcast.com/sponsors the next day. That's how we keep the show going. So thanks for sitting through that if you're new. Then there's an intro, which we've begun. And the intros are usually around 12 to 14 to 17 to 11 minutes or so, somewhere in there. And the intro is just a show within a show. Usually I'd call it a warm-up, if I could get any hotter, but more like I guess it's more like a cool down. It would be in the regular world, it'd be like, yes, you're warming up. I'd be like, yeah, well, I'm kind of cooling off. And get cooling off so I can go off topic, slowing down. It's a slowdown. I mean, that's really what I do at bedtime, is try to do some kind of slow down. But the intro is a show within a show where normally I demonstrate, at least say, what qualifies you to make a sleep podcast, to take your mind off, to take my mind off stuff. I say, well, let me show you. Let me show you the magic, because it's not really like magic. If there's something called rusty magic, I think that's what it is, creaky dulcet tones and rusty magic. That's what I use. And, faded sleep dust or whatever that a sand person has in their sleep sack. So the intro is like when you're getting ready for bed, you can play the intro. Or you can play it when you're already in bed. And it just gets people ready for bed. If you want to get your pets used to, they say, well, this is an interesting human. Hopefully the intro also boosts your self-esteem, because you say, this person functions in the world as a podcaster. And I say, yeah, that's about the only peg that I've found that or the only hole the only peg my hole fits in, or what. Yeah, I think I have a hole and not a peg. I'm a hole in search of a peg. My hole, it's like, well, it's kind of oblong, but also octagon, it has 7 sides, but all of them are uneven. And, yeah. Hello, I was calling the creator. I was trying to get info on if I was a hole or a peg, but I was actually in the middle of a podcast intro. So that's the intro. Then after that, tonight's episode, we'll be talking about Doctor Who in a way that you may not even know, or ideally it's just like a bedtime story or a meandering recap, like a bedtime story that's just distracting enough to take your mind off of stuff. And it's run throughs in a way you say, well, that's kind of doesn't really resemble Doctor Who. I'd say, well, exactly. It's very calming and soothing. And I mean, the Doctor can be very soothing, at least to me, so Rose can be, and Jack can be, Mickey's more of like the humor, which can be soothing, but it'll be more like meandering around the plot points, and making them friendly and soft, softening it up, for bedtime, fluffing the old pillow. And then there's some thank yous at the end. There's also support in between the intro and the story. And so that's a structure show. So that's what you expect structurally. Then there's, what else do you need to know? Oh, well, you don't need to listen to me. You're under no obligation to pay attention, to learn anything, or there's no takeaways. There's more like fallaways, like I fall away, or driftaways. That's what this podcast comes with. We'll have a few driftaways, thoughts that drift out away from me and that drifted away from you. So it's the only podcast you don't need to listen to it, but you can, or you could, but there's no shoulds or musts. And you could turn it down, or you could listen to it. You could listen to it during the day or while you're studying if you need to, or when you're stressed or you need a distraction at work. But I'll be here. And the other thing is you're under no pressure to fall asleep because I'm going to be here for about an hour. And I'm here all the way to the end for that sliver of listeners that can't fall asleep. I'll be here for you in the deep, dark night because I'm your friend. I'm your companion. So I'm here to help. But yeah, you're under no pressure to fall asleep. Ideally, it'll be a drift away where we'll be walking side by side or hand in hand. How about arm in arm? That feels, that's actually like a very Whovian, I think. There's some hand holding. And if that's a problem, I probably won't talk about it on Doctor Who. Actually, I probably will cover hand holding because they have platonic hand holding in there. Or you say subtextually, what does this hand holding mean? Or that's what I'll say during the episode. And I say, whose hand? I have never analyzed whose hand. Is that a genetic thing? Like where they say, okay, that's like how you hold hands? Or is that just, how come, I mean, I haven't, like, I don't do a lot of hand holding anyway. I do hand clasping. That's what I'm doing right now. But I say, never have clammy hands or fidgety hands until that big moment. But so we'll be talking about Doctor Who, then we'll have some thank yous at the end. So you don't need to listen to me. Sorry, I had somebody taking a shower upstairs, so I got interrupted. But I think I was saying you don't really need to listen to me, but I'm here to help. And I've been there, but like I'm in the discombobulated state of a person who's just sprung ahead for an hour. And, while that is like a specific thing, it can also be a broader thing where all of a sudden your sleep pattern gets thrown off, or like me, it's like a Sunday, and this can happen even when you don't get a good night's sleep. It's probably the hardest time to get tired is like, I think any day of the week is like 4 or 5 o'clock, because you could be at work, or even on a Sunday, maybe a Saturday, it's not too bad. But on Sunday, it's the worst because I say, well, I can't drink any caffeinated beverages because then I'll never get to sleep. Can't take a nap because I'll never get to sleep, and sleep's still a while off, and I still got a bunch of stuff I got to get done. And I know it can feel like that at work, or like, especially at work, because then you got to go home and deal with stuff too. And I know what it's like that. Like, I don't know if it's lethargy or just being pooped or tired. You say, man, where you don't feel your best. And if there's any way, I know this podcast doesn't work for everybody. But if there's any way I can help steer you clear of that, even if it's not all the time, it's just occasionally, it would be an honor to do so. Because it's just like you deserve a world that you can step fully into. And like I say sometimes in the intros, I would love it if you flourished. The world needs you to flourish out there. And you'll water the other plants or whatever metaphor you want to use. And I don't know, just in general, I guess even if you don't water flowers, I say, well, if your day's a little bit nicer, or if your bedtime's a little bit less gloomy, that's what I'm here for. And mostly just to take your mind off stuff with my goofy goofing, or my short vocabulary is, I'm just here, just like a friend in the deep, dark night. Like I say, just like if you called me up, I'd come over, I'd ramble and stuff. But if it was a real friend, you'd say, well, when are they going to get out of here? Are they going to leave any crumbs? Am I supposed to pretend I'm listening? Isn't there a social compact? There is no social compact. You know what? In this podcast, I compacted the social compact and then I composted it. and then, spread around so we could grow those flowers. And also my brain, like I said, I really don't know what time of day it is. Like if you were standing outside, you said, well, I got 25 G's, Scoots. If you could tell me within 30 minutes what time of day it is, I'd give it to you. I couldn't tell you if it's 3:30, 4:30, 5:30, or 6:30 right now. And then what the time was yesterday, be like, okay, I don't know. Is it 1:30, but it's 6:30? I have no clue. And that happens with jet lag or changing work schedules. Or, sometimes things are just in flux. So that's what the podcast is. It's here to take your mind off stuff and make bedtime a little bit less rigorous, a little bit less routine. Maybe you just barely smile when you say, maybe you don't even, maybe you just get to picture, instead of smiling at what I say, you just get like an emoticon, like you get the vision of that. Like I said, my favorite emoticon or emoji is a fox, like a fox-based emojis. I don't know why. Maybe from the game Firefox, I don't know, with hearts in its eyes. And then it doesn't even have to smile. Because they say there's a fox with hearts in its eyes. It's the best. Don't know what I've never had a opportunity to use it except in like a goof mode. Because I don't know if I've ever emoted. I've experienced the feeling of having a fox with hearts in its eyes. But maybe that's like what I'm trying to capture here at bedtime. You say, well, a fox with like, maybe like more clouds in its eyes. How about that? How about we agree on that? Whether it's an emoji, how about an emoji? We don't like, I don't know if you own emoji and emoticon around here, these parts, we use emojis. But yeah, you'd say, well, that kind of sounds a little bit too close to Imodium. And they say, no, Modi. Why'd you have to bring that up, brain? Anyway, I'm here to help. And if this is for your first few times, like I said, give it a few tries. There's no, I'm just trying to help. So test the podcast out. I hope it works for you. It doesn't work for everybody. But I really, really appreciate you checking the show out. I work very hard and I strive and I yearn because I want to help you fall asleep. All right. And here's a couple messages of this is how we keep the show going. And if you get value out of the podcast and you want to say yes, you want ad-free episodes, you want story-only episodes, you want to be a part of the joy of keeping this podcast going, of keep putting you to sleep and all the other people, become a patron over at sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. Thank you so much, patrons. And that's it. Let's keep the show going. All right, here we are. We're talking Series 1, Episode 12 of Doctor Who. Bad Wolf is the title of the episode. Wove. It opens with a recap of everything that happened on whatever that news station was, Space Station News, Satellite 5. Satellite 5 it's called. And the question, who controls the Satellite 5 really? If it wasn't Chewbacca and Simon Pegg, who was it? Who really controls it? And then we get the title 100 Years Later, and we hear some pumping music, really pumping music, like at a workout. Look at that, you jazz. No, I guess you wouldn't jazzercise. Do you jazzercise to jazz music? I guess, hold on, let me pause. It's a strange question, but there's this thing called jazzercising when I was like a little kid. I just remember seeing signs for it. I've never met with someone that says, were you into jazzercise? They say, oh yeah, totally. I'm sure there are people like a regular jazzerciser. Not someone that, went to 2 jazzercise classes, bought 10, went to 2. But there was this thing called jazzercise. And on the surface, I said, oh, it's just some sort of dance exercise. But now that I think about it, I said, was it exercise to jazz? Like, because that doesn't make, I love jazz. But I said, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Or at least maybe things changed in the 80s when the Satellite 5 went down. I said, well, no, you only exercise to throbbing, pulsating music. It's much better for the heart rate. But this does have the pulsating music, and then we see a spinning closet and a closet-like room. The doctor's asleep in it on the floor, and then he wakes up in a worry. He's like, what's happening here? The doctor confused, which I said, wow. And he's pushing on all the walls, and he's still spinning. He falls out of the closet. He's got a, whatever you call that, vertigo, and he can't stand up. And he says, what in the heck? And they say, this woman tries to help him. She says, it must be the trans mat. That's what did it to you. And she goes, why were you in there? No one said you were coming. And the doctor's like, what's happening? And she's like, be careful. You got the spins. And she says, are you okay? And the doctor says, what's going on? He's out of it. And she says, you've been chosen. And the doctor says, chosen for what? And she goes, you're a housemate. You're in the house. Isn't that brilliant? And she's very happy. And the doctor looks around. There's kids' drawings on the walls. The living room has red hand chairs, and there's other hand chairs. There's more disco pumping music. Lots of some modernist style art on the walls. Cameras, silver cameras. And there's eyes, like symbols of eyes everywhere. And then there's like a voice over a PA system that says, the doctor come to the diary room. And I guess this is a British version of Big Brother. And the doctor sits down in this gigantic red chair. It looks really comfortable. And also there's other characters that are like, what's a new housemate doing here? What in the heck? I guess it's a voice of Big Brother, so I don't know. Might have been some sort of crossover. But the doctor sits down in this giant red chair. He looks a bit confused and peeved, and this is no swearing. You're on your channel 44,000. And he says, you got to be kidding me. And then the episode comes to an open. So we see he's on the set of Big Brother. Then we see a spotlight on Rose. She's asleep on a floor. There's some red light. It wakes her up. Someone's like, you must have amnesia. She says, because there's this guy, Roderick, because there's this gentleman trying to help her. And he says, what's your name? She goes, Rose. She goes, where's the doctor at? And he goes, he's trying to be very kind to her. He says, just do what the android says. Android's in charge. And she means like an android, like a robot. And then like a PA or somebody says, positions, everybody, get ready to go to air. And he helps her up. He helps her walk. And she says, I'm definitely in the wrong place. They say, final positions. Good luck. And she goes, I was with the doctor and Captain Jack. The doctor wouldn't just leave me somewhere. And she goes, I'm not supposed to be here. And he goes, well, it says Rose on the podium. Isn't that what your name is? He goes, come on, get to the podium. And the Rose is like, this doesn't make any sense. There's some flutes. Flutes and dramatic music. Rose is like, is this a dream? Yeah. And she goes, it can't be. And then they say android activated. And Rose realizes she's on the set of another show called The Weakest Link. And she goes, oh, it's an android. A-N-N-E. Which I think is a host of The Weakest Link. And she's got a robotic voice, fuzzy eyes. Oh, no. Then we see through fuzzy eyes. We hear two robotic voices. They're talking about Captain Jack's lantern jaw. And we see Jack's lying down. He's being examined by two, I guess, robots or androids. They kind of look cartoonish, anthropomorphic, I would say, because it's a new word. I'm trying to figure out what it means. And they say, Jesus, you're a handsome dude here. I guess this is another show called What Not to Wear. And Jack says, what I'm doing here was with the doctor. And they say, well, we got to get rid of your clothes. He goes, what's wrong with my clothes? They go, two 20th century, two vintage denim. And they go, very nice, classic, but we got to spruce you up. You're too Oklahoma farm boy. And then they zap off Jack's clothes, and he's like very confident. He goes, so your ratings just went up. So he's very pleased. He goes, Defabricator does what it says on the tin. And he's cracking everybody up, like I said. He's very happy. How did he know? What did I say? How did he know what? His clothes go bye-bye. He's happy. Oh, because he knows he's on TV. I said, how does he know he's on TV? But I guess because maybe he's familiar with the show, what not to wear. I could use that. But then we go back to the doctor, and he's still in the Big Brother house, but he's trying to get out. He's trying to open doors with his sonic screwdriver, but it's not working. And a woman's trying to help him. She goes, you're not going to get out of here. Ever since Big Brother 504, when everyone left, she goes, you don't remember that? And the doctor goes, what is this, two-way mirror? She goes, yeah, it's exoglass. And she says, don't talk about the outside world. And she goes, by the way, though, tell me about the outside world. Do people like me? I'm Linda with a Y, not Linda with an I. She got evicted for messing a camera up. She goes, am I popular? The doctor goes, oh, I don't remember. And she gets a little nervous. She goes, so I'm insignificant on TV? And then the doctor he goes, no, you're nice. You're sweet. Everybody thinks you're sweet. And she goes, sweet, really? He goes, oh, yeah, totally sweet to the max. And she goes, thanks. Then he goes to the two-way mirror or whatever. He goes, isn't there supposed to be a garden around here? She goes, yeah, no more gardens. She goes, who's got a garden nowadays? The doctor goes, well, I got a TARDIS. I just remembered. His brain's starting to work. And then Linda goes, where did you come from? He goes, Raxacophalorapalpatoris. He goes, then we went to Kyoto in Japan, 1336, just got out of there. And we were cracking up on the TARDIS. There's a flashback to everybody laughing at the TARDIS. I almost said fartus. And then there's this bright light, and like everyone's kind of like frozen on the TARDIS. Jack Rose and the doctor. And he says, yeah, bright light coming through the walls. And then there's a weird angle on the doctor, like we're seeing it through a TV or something. And he talks into the two-way glass, I guess because we're seeing it through the two-way glass, to the control room. And the doctor goes, hey, Linda's also asking the doctor, what's going on? The doctor goes, something's going on here. It's not just he goes, I'm not a passing traveler. He goes, I don't get caught in transmats, and the TARDIS doesn't let in simple beams. This is the big time. And then he goes, something else going on. And that's when he says the thing, I'm going to get out. I'm going to find my friends, and I'm going to find you, whoever's in the control room. And they say, oh, this one dude in the control room, he's nervous. He says, oh, dear. He goes, I'm going to need to talk to one of my coworkers about this. But then there's a countdown for Rose's game show. And they're counting down. Rose is still like, I got to find the doctor. And he's like, just play the game. And Rose goes, okay, I'm going to play to win then. Yeah, I'm not here to mess around. And Rose kind of is like more happy, like it's a joke. And they're like, start the clock. They say one player gets, what's the anagram of beard? It's food, bread. Fitch, what month comes after Hoob in the pan traffic calendar? Clavido. They go, no, Pandoff. Rose, what's 258 minus 158? 100. Roderick banks some money. Then she says, what letter of the alphabet is in dangle but not gland? And Roderick says, E. He says, Colleen, what's the payments given to Martian drones with the letter D? Default, correct. He says, Broth, on which great cobalt pyramid is the remains of a famous old institute? What's the institute? He says, Touchdown. They say, no, Torchwood, which I think is a spinoff of Doctor Who with Captain Jack. And Rose is kind of laughing, like, again, now she's really laughing. She doesn't care. Then they say, something about facetious, so like like there's a lot of vowels in there or something. And they say, what has iron in it? And Fitch gets it wrong. Then they talk, who's Grevnick's married to? So they're just going through the board game, but it's like, I bet you it's all Doctor Who actual facts. Then we see Jack in an undershirt. He's like flexing and making model moves. Really funny. And talking to the robots. And they're saying, yeah, we want to get you up in some leather, dude. A little dash of a pirate and a piece of Schwarzenegger. And Jack goes, what about some color? And they go, no, you can't wear black and color together. Let's talk jackets. And Jack is kind of showing off, but you could tell these androids aren't up to any good either. And they say, geez, what about your face? Maybe we could, Jack goes, hey, man, don't worry about it. And then Android is interviewing Rose, but not in a nice way. She goes, what do you do? What's your job? And Rose goes, I'm a traveler. I guess a tourist. And Android says, so you're unemployed. She goes, no. And they say, well, do you have a job? She goes, no. Then Android says, yeah, you're unemployed. So you still dye your hair. So I think that was a gimmick on the British, like this Anne from Weakest Link was mean. And they say, why'd you vote out Fitch? She got questions wrong. And Fitch is really upset, just like not, she's going to lose like $400. And, they say, sorry, Rose doesn't get it yet. She says, sorry, Fitch. But then Fitch heads off to the big farm via the android. And she goes, Broth was the weakest link. And Rose is like, what, are you kidding me? What kind of game show is this? This isn't like, not what I want to play. And they're like, okay, let's go to an ad. And then Roderick says, this is it. You got to play to win or not win and go to the big farm. And Rose goes, I'm not playing. And then Broth goes, I'm not playing. So he tries to leave. They send him to the big farm. And the android says, you're the weakest link too. Bye-bye. So Rose is like, holy mackerel. This is, sees big adverts. Rose WTFs it to Adams. Play or not. Then all the housemates are gathered. There's 3 housemates and the doctor. They're all holding hands while the doctor's trying to get out. They're like, hey, don't mess around. You're going to get us all in trouble. They also have like black purses or something over their shoulders. I don't know if that's a thing with Big Brother. And what does this say? Cheery, then we're going to get, then they say, okay, whoever's getting voted out of the house is Crosby. And they say, Crosby, time to go. We're gonna come get you. Bye-bye. And there's a lot of hugs and disappointment. The doctor's totally kicking back like it's a TV show. He goes, okay, what's the big deal here? Let's see. And then, they say you're nominated for eviction. 8th person evicted is Crosby. Crosby's kind of determined. And the doctor's like, who cares? It's just a show. He's totally lying back on the couch. And they say, okay, 10 seconds. They make a little, with their hands, they make a entryway for her to exit, a hand gate for her to go under. Doctor's still like moving his feet on the couch and they say, bye. And he says, don't believe me. What does that say? They say, they say goodbye. Say, thanks for the food. That was great. Poor Crosby. And the doctor goes, she's going to be successful on the outside. They go, there is no outside. They go straight to the big farm. And he's still laughing. And then they show like that she gets transmatted to the big farm, but instead of evicted. And the doctor's like, what in the heck? And he's confused. Everyone runs to TV. And then the doctor looks at this eye, starts moving. Then there's a clandestine meetup. Like there's an eye outlined with the Milky Way behind it for the And there's a clandestine meetup between two of the control room workers. They seem to be in a relationship. They're talking about rumors. They're smiling. They're saying, well, those people aren't supposed to be in the game, but the controller's watching everything. So maybe she knows what's going on. Maybe we're making human errors. Or maybe she's making human error. And they said, well, maybe she's not human. Then we see the controller. She's like integrated, digital organic being integrated into the like control panels with cool black light and lighting and stuff. And she's talking in numbers. She's like running all the shows at the same time. 10, 9, 41, 50, that kind of stuff. Then we go back to the Big Brother house. But doctor's like, when the heck would you be on a TV show where you could get sent to the big farm? Why would you be on that show? And Linda's like, we don't have a choice. And the doctor goes, what do you mean? I thought you applied to be on the show. She goes, yeah, hundreds of years ago. And she goes, you get chosen and that's it. There's 60 Big Brother houses at once. And they go, yeah, there used to be more. Not what it used to be. And the doctor says, it's a charnel house. And then he says, what does he say? Caveman out like this? What does that mean? He says, whatever. He says, this is it. He says, I'm going to mess up this camera and send it out. So then I get thrown out of the house. Then we go back to Jack. He's now playing tennis. Like he's in a total tennis outfit and playing around with a tennis racket. Too decent. He said, there are too many. He goes, I'm not into all the wearing all this white. It's too decent. And they go, okay, don't worry. We're doing another stage. So we're ready for stage 2. And he goes, what's that? And they go, well, just we change you into we do a face-off like with a puppy. And Jack's not, he pulls like a complex laser deluxe out of his, somewhere out of thin air, but he had it hidden. And so he takes out the robots and escapes, no problem. Then we go back to the weakest link. One more person gets voted out, Colleen. And they go solar flare activity. We got 10 minutes to finish this episode. And Rose goes to Roderick, well, why'd you vote Colleen out? She's good. And he goes, yeah, because I want to go against you, so I win. Stacked vote of credits from Bad Wolf. And she goes, Bad Wolf? And he goes, that's who runs the game station. And she goes, that's Bad Wolf. And he goes, yeah, that's an old nursery rhyme or something. Rose goes, I keep hearing Bad Wolf. Then she has like a little bit of a flashback to other times she's heard Bad Wolf this season. Talking strategy, Bad Wolf recap. Then the doctor, we see a bunch of scenes with from the season with Bad Wolf. Rose is like, going on. Bad Wolf is in charge of this quiz. Maybe I'm not here by mistake. This is not an accident. It's been planned. Then we go back to the doctor, and they say, hey, doctor, you're kicked out of the house. You're evicted. He cheers. He's so happy. They say 10 seconds to say farewell, then we're going to get you. And they say that gleefully. And he just rushes for the door. And Linda's like, actually, I think you're cool. And the other housemate's like, just like totally into the game. And the doctor says, come on, transmat me somewhere. Go for it. I don't believe it. They're jumping over the couches. He's a bonkers eviction. But he says, come on. And then it doesn't work. He goes, yeah, you would have, he goes, I'm supposed to be here. Don't you get it? He goes, what are you waiting for? Oh, Linda goes, he's gone bonkers. That's what she says. And then the doctor says, he figures out a way to unlock the door. He says, hey, Linda, why don't you come with me? And then they show the control room trying to figure it out at the same time. And they're like, why isn't he getting evicted? It's some sort of strange override. And the doctor goes, hey, by the way, to the cameras, he goes, I'm getting out. Then he reaches out to Linda. We see that classic Doctor Who holding his hand out, shot. Very cool. He says, come on, 50-50 in here. I'll help you. And he goes, you're sweet. He goes, I don't know if that's a winning combo on this kind of Big Brother. And let's see, classic Doctor Who. Then he's like, hold on. They go out, and he's like, this is a Satellite 5. And he tries to open some doors. He does a bit of bragging and flirting. He says, I've been here before. And he goes, why isn't anybody like around here in Satellite 5? And Linda goes, no, it's a game station now. It was Satellite 5 100 years ago. And the doctor was like, I was on floor 139 last time and caused a little bit of trouble, but then I gave things a hand and headed out home for tea. Yeah, that's where he's bragging and flirting. And he's still trying to get good. And Linda's like, you're looking good for 100 years. You were here 100 years ago. He said, oh, yeah, I moisturize. And he goes, this is strange energy in here. Way too much energy, too many transmissions, too much power. And Linda goes, I think we're the first contestants to be out of there. And the doctor goes, well, I got to find 2 other people. And she goes, they could be anywhere. There are 100 different games. And he says, like, what? She goes, let's see, Call My Bluff, Countdown, Ground Force, Wipeout, Stars in Their Eyes. And the doctor goes, you watch this stuff? She goes, yeah, everybody does. How come you don't? He goes, oh, I didn't pay my license for my license. She goes, that's big trouble. He goes, go ahead. I dare them. And she goes, who are you really? He goes, it doesn't matter. And she goes, well, now I'm with you. And he goes, I'm just a traveler. He goes, I'm looking for a quiet life. And she goes, if we get out of here, you're going to head off? He goes, yeah. And then she goes, maybe I could come with you. He goes, maybe. And the doctor he says, wait a second, is there a connection here? And he goes, then we got to concentrate on getting out of here. Who's in charge of Satellite 5? And then we see the Big Wolf Corporation. Linda turns on a sign, Bad Wolf Corporation. And the doctor's like, holy mackerel. Then we're up on episode 500 in Control. They're trying to figure out how the doctor got out. Control person's like, hey, the controller's got to handle this. Maybe we should check. Then another controller, she's like, maybe we should check Archive 6 to see how they got here. And they say, the controller, she says, Archive 6 out of bounds, turned off. And they said, well, we got to stop the games. She goes, no stopping the games. And the dude says, we can't just let them wander around. She goes, yeah, they are no one. I said, what in the name of GOT? They're no one from the House of Black and White, eh? And they're still trying to figure out what do they do. They're like, well, we got to check the logs. And she goes, no, just trust me. Solar flares in a few minutes. So we got to get the show going. Then we have Jack getting out of his thing. Then we have Lyndon getting out of his level and heading to the elevator and trying to figure out what floor. Then he finds the doctor on some sort of scanner. He says, okay, which floor is he on? 2 hearts beat as 1, or maybe they beat it separately, binaural vascular system or whatever. And he heads to the level of doctors on. Doctor and Linda are like, they go to the same place that Adam saw Earth from 100 years before. And the doctor's like, did you ever watch that show Bear With Me? And he goes, I love Bear With Me, the celebrity edition. 3 people in a bear that live with a bear. And then they see the Earth. He's like, the Earth doesn't look right. And she goes, yes, it's been off for a long time, but now we have 10,000 channels all coming from this station. And the doctor's like, a sheep being fed on a diet of whatever you have to live with. Oh, that's when they talk about the bear show. He goes, this should be the 4th great and bountiful human empire. He goes, I thought I said things right 100 years ago. Well, Linda's like, that's when things got bad 100 years ago. All the news went off and we couldn't think for ourselves. She goes, it was a long 100 years. And the doctor goes, it was my fault. And he's, man. Then, I made this world. Then another game player goes to Big Farm. So it's Rose versus Roddick on their own. they handsome. What does that mean? Then we see, hey, handsome. Jack runs to the doctor. Jack says, hey, handsome. And he goes, you found Rose? And the doctor goes, no. And Jack goes, okay, the rooms are shielded. Let's just hack this computer. And the doctor's like, that's what I'm trying to do. And Jack says, hurry up. And the doctor goes, yeah, I know. And Jack gives him some sort of wrist computer. He goes, we'll find her. And then the Jack goes, hey, Linda, how you doing? I'm Captain Jack Harkness. Nice to meet you. The doctor goes, can you not flirt with my friends? He goes, I just said hi. He goes, that's flirting. And Linda goes, hubba hubba. And Jack kisses her hand, which all of that frustrated the doctor. Jack was in leather pants and a leather vest with a white T-shirt. They're on floor 407 currently, I believe. Or is that what floor Rose is on? They say, Jesus, this is weird, this whole bad wolf thing. He goes, I think I've been playing, and now, like, they've been playing me, and now Rose is stuck. Then we go back to the game. It's Rose versus Roderick, and Rose gets a question wrong about Sheffield. She says it's York. Then the doctor finds her on 407, and Linda's like, that's the android. That's a worse show. We got to get up there. Roderick doesn't know that Lucky was written by Jackie Collins. He thinks it's a Jackie Stewart. Then they say, who's the oldest inhabitant of the ISOP of galaxy? Face of what? And I even knew. Face of Bo. Who lives in a glass aquarium and his head is big and round, just like a pineapple under the sea, the face of Bo, which is correct. Then the doctor, Jack and Linda are on the elevator trying to get up there. Roderick gets the correct answer. President of the Red Velvets is Hashman Frayne. And they say, Rose, what planet does Gaffa, can you eat Gaffa back on? And she goes, Mars. They go, no, another question, no, another planet. And Roderick's getting happier. Doctor's on his way. They say, what measure of length did the Emperor Jate say was the distance from your nose to your fingertip? They say, he says a gaffle. They go, no, it's a pob. And they say, Rose, Stella Park Baint was famous for what? Rose goes, shoes. And they go, nope, hats. And then you think Roderick gets a question. No, he gets it wrong. Saying Hazeldine or something. The doctor's almost there. They get to the floor, and they're trying to figure out which room is room 6. And they're just trying to get the door open, but it has, some sort of biological combination. They go, Rose, what's your favorite Icelandic city? She goes, Reykjavik. They go, no, Pola Ventura. And then they go, Roderick's like, you lost. And Rose can't believe it. She's like, you can't play this game here. I just got to find the doctor. The doctor wouldn't leave me behind. And Android goes, so Roderick, you're the winner, 100,600 credits. Rose goes, this isn't right. Then the doctor says, he comes running in Rose with Jack. Jack says, stop the game. And the doctor says, I order you to stop the game. And Rose goes running to the doctor. The floor manager goes, this show is live. And they say, look out. And then Rose gets, apparently, temporarily, we think she goes to the big farm. But, just a sleep podcast, so I'll tell you she doesn't right here. But there's a poof of dust symbolizing a trip to the big farm. And for the moment, we see the doctor think she's there. And he's touching the dust and bending down. And he has this really high-level acting look on his face. And Captain Jack is not happy. The doctor's kind of moving his mouth. The security comes and busts him. Jack is really hot and bothered. And the doctor's just kind of numb in distance. And then they get busted. So they got to go back to like a mall. It's like mall security. And they say, Jack's like, you can't even, don't even talk to the doctor. I can't believe this game show. Really good. If I didn't last episode, I was a Jack fan. Now I'm a huge Jack fan. And then we see satellite, a distant shot of that. And then they're quizzing the doctor and Jack about a sonic screwdriver. They say, you're nicked. How'd you get on board? And Linda says, don't talk to the doctor, who's totally in silent staring mode. And they say, you're going to go to lunar penal quality. It does not spend face who. What does that mean? They say, who are you? And the doctor's still not talking. And then they show the doctor get the mug shots are back in the cell. That's when they say, lunar, do you understand you're going to lunar colony? And it's, let's do it. Jack and undershirt, does that say? They see Jack, the actor says to Jack, let's do it. And then it's action mode. And they get out, no problem. And that's cool. Then the programmers are like, oh no, they got out. And they go, the doctor goes straight to floor 500. And they're trying to lock it up. They're like, they're coming up here. And the doctor has the defabricator. And Jack has some more traditional stuff. And they both look cool. And the doctor says, then they say, hey, the solar flares are about to go on. The controller flares say that. They say, controller, we got trouble. And then they get to the floor. Jack says, okay, everybody don't try anything. And the doctor says, listen to the captain. And he says, this is more than a game station. Who runs that android? And no one says anything. The controller's like, solar flare's about to hit. He goes, I want some answers. And they're like, why are you, he goes, this is just for fun. And the doctor goes, relax. And they go, you're going to get busted. The doctor goes, no, I'm not. And he goes, what's up with the controller here? And they go, she's the link to all the transmissions. So the whole satellite output goes through her. She's been working here since she was 5. And Jack goes, Doc, we got 10 minutes. I sealed the door. And then they go, one of the controllers goes, actually, there's been some strange unauthorized transmats. You saying this just isn't a game station? The doctor goes, what freaking games have you been playing? But he says, show me the unauthorized transmissions. And they go, you can't go in Archive 6. And Jack's headed back there. He goes, do I look like an out-of-bounds sort of guy? And Jack goes into Archive 6. The TARDIS is in there. What else we got? Doctor and the crew. Doctor, where's the doctor? When the solar flare comes, everything is in blue and purple light, which is cool. Who are they? Found the TARDIS. So Jack goes in the room with the TARDIS, and he sees Rose's jacket there. And at first he's a little down. This is 321, what the heck, transmit beam? Doctor, where's the doctor? Isn't that later when Rose wakes up? I don't know. Oh, no, that's the controller saying, doctor, where's the doctor? So then the solar flare comes in. Basically, the doctor's talking to the controller. And Jack finds the TARDIS, looks at Rose's jacket, but then he starts doing some hacking on the TARDIS. And the controller starts talking to the doctor. She says, all I could see was numbers, but then I saw you. And the doctor goes, what do you want? She goes, I can only talk during the solar flares. I've got, my programmers, they can't hear me right now. But I can't say their names either. And I have to be careful. They're monitoring the transmissions, but they don't watch the program. So I hid you in the games. And the doctor goes, what about Rose? She goes, does it matter? He goes, it matters to me. And she goes, my programmers have been planning the earth for many, many years, hundreds and hundreds of years, and they're growing stronger. And he goes, who are they? And she goes, oh, they talk about you. They don't like the doctor. And he goes, who are they? Then the solar flare leaves. So then she goes back to regular game mode. The doctor goes to the programmer, when's his next solar flare? He goes, 2 years. He goes, Then Jack comes out. He goes, I found the TARDIS. And the doctor goes, who cares? We're not going anywhere. And he goes, no, but the TARDIS figured it out. He goes, watch this. He goes, Rose wasn't sent to the big farm. She was just transported. And the doctor's like, holy cow. Let's see, TARDIS, Rose's jean jacket. Oh, this is the other page of blue. Okay, so I missed that somehow earlier. Transmitted beam. They get transmitted across space. That means Rose is okay. And like the doctor goes, Rose, really? She's okay? And they're so happy, the two of them. And they like hug each other and jump and grin, the doctor and Jack. Then we hear a beep, a beeping sound, and Rose wakes up in a cool-looking room. There's pulsating, beeping, purple and blue lights, a clean, dark-colored floor. And she slowly wakes up, and then she looks up, and she looks at something. She goes, she says, WTF, and we realize it's like a comic day, one of the comic Daleks looking at her through one of their camera tubes. And then we go back, and the controller's giving the doctor, she says, hey, guess what? I'm going to tell you where they are. Even with the solar, the doctor goes, no, there's no solar flare. She goes, yeah, they're at 6.1, 95.7 kicks FM or whatever. And then she gets transmatted out. And we see, so Game Master gives the coordinates. She's transmatted out. And she goes, oh, my comic Daleks. You shouldn't have messed with comic books. You can't change the history. And then we're back at the control room. And the one dude that's the controller, his name's Davich Papel. And him and Jack get along. Jack's like, I like the cut of your jib, by the way. Because he goes, oh, I downloaded my own file of unscheduled transmissions. And then the other programmer, she says, what has this been, some sort of disguise all along? And the doctor goes, oh, yeah. Even the Chewbacca was, this is a long game, controlling the history of the human race for generations. And then Jack gives the doctor a sonic screwdriver back, makes it into a pointer. Let's see. Javich Papel, proactive. Oh, yeah, good proactive work, Jack. And they cancel like some sort of, beam crossing out. And he says, look at this. Look at the pure feed. And it's like lots and lots of UFOs with chanting music. Because he says, yeah, it was hidden from sonar and radar, but a sonic screwdriver with small adjustment from Jack and knowing the location. And Jack's like, those ships were gone. And the doctor goes, nope, they're not. And Linda with a Y says, who are they? And the doctor says 200 ships, 2,000 on board, 500,000 of them. And they say 500,000 who? And he goes, Daleks, anti-comic book, you're going to rid the world of comic books. Oh, do you have comic books in this alternative timeline? And they go, we do. It's the one thing on Earth, that brings children joy still, other than television, and young adults and adults. And then the Daleks, they come in. They're kind of freaking out. They say stand to stand. But whatever, they're on camera. And they say, we're detected. Doctors located us. Open the communications. Oh, they say, Rose, stand up. So she's like, with the Daleks, and then the Dalek says, I'll talk to the doctor, and the doctor's already there. He says, okay, that's great. Hi. And he waves at them smiling. And they go, we're in the middle of the Dalek stratagem and the fleet's ready. Don't intervene. And the doctor goes, why is that then? And they go, well, we're here with Rose. And the Rose is kind of staring, kind of determined. And they say, don't mess with us. And the doctor goes, no. And the Dalek says, explain yourself. And the doctor goes, no. And the Dalek's Mixie goes, what's the meaning of this negative? And the doctor goes, it means no. And they go, well, what about Rose? And the doctor goes, I'm not worried about it. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come rescue Rose right from the middle of the Dalek fleet. I'm going to save Earth, and I'm going to save all the comic books, and I'm going to, end your comic crusade. And they go, well, you have nothing, no ships, no defenses, no plans. And the doctor goes, yeah, and doesn't it make you nervous? Because I'm still confident. And then this is really a high point. And then he goes, Rose, I'm coming to get you. She goes, yes, doctor. And she already knows. She's converted from to total confidence, too. She has, determined. She's breathing, determined breathing with almost a smile. And he goes, yeah, I'm coming to get you, Rose. She goes, yes, doctor, I'm coming to get you. And really pinnacle, great acting. And then the Daleks just flip out. They say, doctor's initiating action. Stratagem must advance. Get moving. And they go, and also get rid of the comic books and the doctor. And they say, comics. And then there's like thousands of Daleks all in unison, all like going to their workstations. Which he said some of the Daleks have workstations, some of them just float around. And there's a lot of them, and they all get ready to go. See the doctor in the comics of Earth, and the episode comes to a close. So sleep well, dreaming of, because the Daleks, they like to read comic books. They'd be good at bedtime stories. Maybe the doctor will convert them, tone down their voices, give them some creaky dulcets to read kids' bedtime stories instead. And say, hey, here's a bedtime story from your favorite Dalek. They could call them story licks instead. I guess that wouldn't be very good. But rest well, my friends, and I'll see you soon. I want to thank Sarah and Valerie, who helped out the show on Venmo. Thanks, and good night. I want to thank Stephanie, Catherine, and Lisa, who helped the show out on PayPal. Thank you very much, and good night. I want to thank Stephanie, Camille, and Eliana for supporting the show on PayPal. Thank you, thanks, and good night. I want to thank Corinne, Lauren, and Jonathan G., who helped the show out on PayPal. Thank you, thanks, and good night. And I want to thank Angela and Emma for the show on PayPal. Thank you, thanks, and good night. And then I want to thank the people that recently supported the show via mail or sent me nice mail. I want to thank James C. from James C.R. Pottery. Thanks, and good night. Joanne and Mark M. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Julie A. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Cassandra K. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Chelsea L. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Wendy F. Marmalade. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Victoria H. For the sleep spray. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Rhea, Penny, Gavin, and Mike. Thank you, thanks, and good night. They sent me a nice decoration. Actually, they gave it to me in person. And then on YouTube, I want to thank Brittany, Mondo, Deborah, thanks, and good night. Melly, Lizzie, and Maria, thank you, thanks, and good night. Blah, blah. Helena and Bearing Beauty, thank you, thanks, and good night. Jess, Brian with a Y, and D-E to the M to the O to the N, thank you, and good night. Matthew, Jacqueline, and the sheep, thanks, and good night. Keeper, Katie, thanks, and good night. Bruce, Sashwath, And me and Dog, thank you, thanks, and good night. Sam, Paul, and Jess, thank you, thanks, and good night. Jack, Emmanuel, and Forever, thank you, thanks, and good night. Ace, Reynaldo, and Luke, thank you, thanks, and good night. Jessica, Dan, Cassius, Pinky, thank you, thanks, and good night. Thanks, everybody, thanks, and good night.